Welcome to our presentation. The theme is Practice of Compliance of Punctuation Rules in Internet Communication, made by collective work of Oksana Lytvyn, Liliia Kharchuk, Oksana Mykytyuk, and Iryna Mentynska. Statement of a scientific problem. The problem of compliance with the rules of punctuation in online communication, made on the basis of Google Forms through a questionnaire, is a valuable material for linguistics as it shows the linguistic specifics of a particular historical period. The urgency of the research is due to the need to improve punctuation literacy as a basis of linguistic and cultural heritage of the people. The novelty of the work is that for the first time a new source base has been developed, which allows to consider student discourse at the level of synchrony and to clarify the expediency or inexpediency of punctuation requirements in Internet communication in terms of formal business and conversational styles. The scientific significance of the work was determined by the subject of research, as the difference in compliance with punctuation standards by students of humanities and technical specialties was compared. The interaction of formal and informal styles is shown on the example of respondents. Textual material directly from the student environment is involved. The aim of our study is to establish compliance of punctuation rules in written online communication, depending on the type of communication, business or informal, to find out the frequency of punctuation errors, types of the most common punctuation errors, to suggest solutions to punctuation problems. Active introduction of technical means affects the transformation of forms of communication. Diversification of opportunities for the use of verbal and nonverbal means of communication leads to the following hypotheses. Hypothesis 1. Modern communicative Internet environment is a new kind of business communication, and the observance of punctuation rules helps to logically and syntactically divide statements into separate semantic elements, which allows to achieve the goal of communication. Hypothesis 2. Deviations from the punctuation norm of modern literal language is the main feature of informal communication of students in the Internet environment. Hypothesis 3. Punctuation marks that help the author to more accurately or figuratively depict objects or phenomena of the objective world. The material of the research is questionnaire of students of Lviv Polytechnic, in which they indicate their attitude to the rules of punctuation. The research methods that were used are method of semantic analysis, method of experiment and observation, statistical method, analytical method, descriptive method, and methods of generalization and induction. Structure and logical scheme covering the main steps of the study. At the first stage, a system of test questions that covers various punctuation rules was developed by the method of semantic analysis. At the second stage, 2,047 respondents were interviewed. By a method of experiment and observation, presence of the violations of punctuation was studied specifically in the student environment. At the third stage was used a statistical method. At the fourth stage was used an analytical method that helps to outline the process of formation or the presence of certain phenomena or trends. At the fifth stage, the observed results were outlined using a descriptive method and methods of generalization and induction. Results of the research. All types of norms are typical for Internet communication. If we take into account the lexical norm, it has undergone the greatest changes during the impersonal communication, and Anglism, surjik, slang are popular on the Internet. As for the orthographic norm, its violation is caused only by the actual linguistic facts. Violation of punctuation, which is the subject of the description, changes the understanding of the text and leads to lack of structuring and forms a communicative barrier, changes the verbal assessments of the text. Experimental results of the discussion. The study was conducted on the basis of Google Forms through a questionnaire survey of 2,047 respondents, students of Lviv Polytechnic, of 17 under 20 years. The questionnaire included 21 questions, among which the dominant for us is the written, formal, informal communication and punctuation motivation of respondents related to Internet communication. To motivate the relevance of the work, we have identified the following blocks. The importance of punctuation marks that shows the boundaries of thought. The use of punctuation marks, dots, commas, colons, dashes, in accordance with the rules of punctuation. Respondents. Among the respondents, 47 are students of humanities and 52 technical specialties. For most students, 2,041 people, Ukrainian is their mother tongue. For 6 people, their mother tongue is Russian. In everyday speech, in the family with friends, 13 students speak Russian. 1 student speaks the local dialect, 9 Surzhyk, 1 student speaks Ukrainian with parents and Russian with friends, 8 students speak both Ukrainian and Russian, and 2015 students speak only in Ukrainian. Linguistic and extralinguistic factors in punctuation. Among the extralingual factors, non-compliance of punctuation can be explained by the speed of writing, lack of eye contact, which makes shyness impossible. Among the interlinguistic factors, non-observance of punctuation is possible due to the low level of knowledge of the language, lack of automaticity for typical situations. It is worth recalling that non-compliance of punctuation does not create inconvenience for the youngest generation, but, on the contrary, increases self-esteem, removes complexity, because they interpret any type of error as copyright marks or ridicule of what is written. Those are some of the asked questions and the answers shown in the percentage. Students were asked if they use punctuation marks that fix the end of the sentence. Also, do they use punctuation marks that reflect the boundary between the main and subordinative clauses in compound sentence? Do they use parentheses for their intended purpose? And do they use a semicolon for its intended purpose? Conclusions. The results of the questionnaire prove that the hypothesis about the need for punctuation rules in formal business communication and the hypothesis about the deviation from punctuation rules in informal communication is typical for the student environment. Regarding the third assumption, the grammatical function of punctuation, it turned out that the percentage of people trying to put punctuation marks was unexpectedly low. Thank you for your attention.